spootybiscuit. Y'all who were tuned in yesterday might have saw me for Not ITG, and I'm back with another rhythm game. This time a little bit more slanted towards a roguelike dungeon crawler with a little bit of rhythm aspects added on. Just want to start off by thanking everyone for their generosity. So we're doing a story mode run today, which is going to be 4 characters back to back, all the ones that have they're part of the Crypt of the Necrodancer storyline, so that's Nocturna, Cadence, Melody, and Aria. But thanks to all of you all making the incentive, we are going to enable double tempo mode, which, as the name suggests, that means the game's going to be running in double time. It's going to be a lot harder. I'm going to have to play a lot more marathon safety strats, and I'm going to have to focus pretty hard. So I have Zelo here on the metaphorical couch to cover commentary for me so that I can focus up. Say hi, Zelo.
Hi, Zelo. Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Zelo, or Zello, however you want to say it. I run Crypt of the Necrodancer as well, and it's really Spooty who got me into this game, so I'm happy to do some good old commentary for him as we trudge through story double time, because he's going to need all his brain RAM, so I should do the talking this time.
Yep, and I will start the timer as soon as we hit the start run stairs here, and we will get started in 3, 2, 1, go!
Alright, so Crypt of the Necrodancer is a rhythm roguelike where it's turn-based, but the turn is to the beat of the music normally, and because we're playing double time mode, the beat, we're actually going to have to turn every 8th note instead of every quarter note. So this is going to be a lot more difficult, as Spooty's going to have a lot less time to react to things. This game is procedurally generated with its dungeons, so every dungeon and zone in this game follows a set of floors and how the dungeons are generated, and we can kind of use those rules of each zone to know kind of where to go, how things are set up, and we'll be looking for some items, and we have a general idea of what we want to find based on these rules. Like this blood shop.
Garbage blood shop.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So the blood shop is one of the many secret shops in this game, and it shows up only in zones 1-1 and 1-2. And those, the blood shop allows you to get items at the cost of some health, but we didn't have any items that we wanted here. We're actually going to take this boss shrine. Shrines are another great item that you can potentially get. When you tap the boss shrine, then 3 random items show up. You can pick from one of them. And also, you can also do other things to the shrines just even after you've activated them. You can also bomb them before or activating them. So bombing the boss shrine after activating it also gives a strength charm, which gives a +1 attack boost for the rest of the run, which is really, really handy. Getting some magic ham is also really nice here, getting a bunch of extra hearts. So Nocturna is very similar to the base character Cadence. She plays very similarly, but with a few extra rules. So you'll see these like purple rooms just kind of out of place with the rest of the dungeon. This is Nocturna's zone lead, because Nocturna is the extra story character in the Amplified DLC. She was the one that added Zone 5 to the game, and you see a lot of enemies and characteristics of Zone 5. So you're going to see like electricity on the floor, you're going to see these purple walls, you'll see these weird enemies that don't really fit in with the rest of the area, like the Electro Mages. We'll get more into that as we do more stuff in Zone 5. It looks like Spooty also took a Shrine of Uncertainty earlier for a weapon. We'll get into that in a bit with what the weapon is, but right now we have our first boss, Death Metal. We want to get a flawless victory like we just did there. Flawless victory is you beat the boss without dropping any beats or taking any damage. That allows you to get 1 of 3 chests at the very back. And right there we got some Earth Tomes, which are nice as a panic button, since they create walls around you. So we're in Zone 2, so the generation here is going to be a little bit different. Generally in Zone 2, the exit is going to be opposite of where the starting paths are going to be. So we can use that to map out. And thankfully Spooty also has some really nice items for mapping as well, like this towards the walls, which not only gives him extra vision, but you can also see on the bottom right, you can see his map has kind of the outlines. So that's really good to just be able to figure out where to go on the fly. Well, let's talk about the weapon a bit. We talked about the uncertainty. So the Shrine of Uncertainty, whenever you tap it, you get a mystery weapon with some rules. It can either be a titanium grade weapon or an obsidian weapon. I can't tell which it is just off the top of my head, but
Obsidian.
It's obsidian? Okay, so we've got an obsidian hammer. So obsidian equipment works, but your damage is based on your multiplier. When you have a max point multiplier right here, it does 3 damage. And we're going to have that plus the +1 from the strength gun. So this hammer is doing 4 damage a hit, which is really nice. And the hammer hits a ton of tiles, which is really great for double time here because we want to think as little as possible. We just kind of want to try and tap the buttons and just kind of whack Coral Rift out.
Yeah, to be clear, the game does not have separate move and attack buttons. It's just movement, and if there's an enemy in the range of your attack, you'll attack instead of moving, so...
Yeah, this is pretty critical, especially with the large range of the hammer, because say we get stuck on these hot coals, but you end up in an attack range of something and you try and move away, you'll just attack and you'll get stuck on the coals and you'll burn your feet. So it's why we generally try and avoid what we call very snaggy weapons with these large ranges. But for the sake of marathon safety, this hammer is very good as long as we don't stay on coals. Speaking of useful gear, we've got Explorer's Boots, which will actually protect us from the coals and some other floor hazards, so really, really handy item to have. And normally we would take the titanium axe. The axe is generally the best weapon type in the entire game, but I think the safety of the hammer here is okay, unless Spoody wants to farm up some money.
I might take the courage.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
if I
option,
can get a little more money.
Yeah, because you do have the +1 from Strength Charm, so going down with the courage would be nice.
Normally I play a little more aggressively, but I didn't sleep super well last night, so, you know, just being aware of my own limitations here. And playing a little extra safe today. Yeah,
so you can see all the equipment slots at the very top right there in the top left. So we're gonna swap out our ring for courage. So ring of courage is really cool. Whenever you kill an enemy with a ring of courage active, you slide forward 1 tile and you are completely invulnerable during that feat. And this allows you to play really aggressively like this. You just kind of bounce around into the exit. So ring of courage is a really, really strong speed item, but it's also very scary to use sometimes, especially in Zone 3, because if you get stuck on, say, ice or in a pool of water, then you can't do anything for that beat, and you can end up in a pretty bad situation here. So the only enemy here in Zone 4 that's really a problem are the Blade Masters, because they will parry your attacks unless you hit right next to them. But otherwise, this should be a pretty simple Zone 4 overall, because we do have some armor. We do have the Quartz Armor, which will protect us a little bit. Any attack that would do more than a heart of damage is reduced to 1 heart. So, and we have a very healthy pool of 8 hearts and this heal spell on deck. So it's going to be very easy to stay alive as long as we just keep paying attention and don't try and push too hard. Zone 4 is generally considered the most technical zone and the most execution heavy right here, because it was the last zone before the Amplified DLC came out. So the exit, we can talk more about the layout quirks when we get to another run, but Zone 4 is at least down. So now we're into Zone 5, which is, this was added in the Amplified DLCs, and we want to look for these large rooms on the map. The largest room on the map is an 8x8 room, and that will always have the exit. Now, we are coming up on Zone 5 boss soon-ish, but at the end of every character for Zone 5, instead of the 5th main boss, we're actually going to fight a story boss instead. So, we'll talk about that now. So, Nocturne is going to actually have 2 story bosses, fighting the Frankenstein Way, and then the Conductor right afterwards. And these are actually, like, 2 of the scariest parts of the run, just because of how difficult these fights can be, which is why we farmed up a lot of equipment. So Frankenstein Way, whenever you reduce it, he has 10 health every phase. Whenever you reduce his health down, he regens 10 health, and a shield comes up. And you can use a bomb to get rid of these towers. But thankfully, we got through that okay. Now we have the Conductor fight. So this kind of plays into the electricity bit, where we need to walk up these wires to destroy the electricity shields. And then in the second phase of this fight, we're going to drain these batteries that appear by hitting enemies over and over while we're on the wire. So this is where the hammer really comes into play here, because we have a wide radius, and it's going to make things very easy. The nice thing also is because the hammer is so wide, you can stand on the wire and actually attack the Conductor at the top while you're on the wire, and that still counts as getting hits in. So that ended up being an incredibly fast fight. So great job, Spoody.
Okay, second character time. This is Cadence. She's the default character, so all those quirky Zone 5 bleeds are going to be gone. We're just going to see the game as it was originally designed here. Other than it's on double time, of course.
Yeah, like we start with Nocturna because even though Nocturna was a DLC character, she's actually the prequel to the story. So that's just a change that was made and amplified. So yeah, Cadence plays normally. There are no special characteristics. So we're gonna have our 5 zones with 2 unique story bosses of her own. But otherwise, there won't be any like specific special rules.
And this is not what Cadence looked like originally. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I have a custom sprite on my Cadence. It's my avatar, Pootsie.
This is Pootsie.
Yeah, there's a lot of customizability in the game. You can put in custom sprites and pretty much anything.
Yeah, we actually do have a racing league for Necrodancer, and we do encourage custom sprites for that. And so big shout outs to Condor, our racing league. They're always great. But the dagger phasing's pretty neat. We can talk a little bit more about different weapons. Dagger phasing, it just attacks one space next to you, doing a base 2 damage. But the nice thing is that it has the phasing effect, which actually pierces any kind of defense, and that includes even like ethereal effects like the ghost disappearing. So it's what we consider the second strongest of the 4 special daggers. So quite good. We might still try and look for something a little better, like maybe a move attack weapon, but this is very, very good to start off with.
I ain't taking a 1 damage axe though.
No. Like, axe is the best weapon type, but you also need to take damage into account, and being on a base 1 damage is not what you want to be. We have a rule where you kind of want to be on a 3 damage threshold, because that allows you to open barrels and crates with your weapon alone. That allows you to kill most enemies in either 1 or 2 hits. It's just a very nice rule to follow. So get to see a little bit of the Earth spell right there. Actually, with the phasing dagger, we can just walk right up to Conga and just stab him right in the chest. Don't even have to do the fight normally.
Okay, there we go. There's that 3 damage you were talking about.
Yeah, so Ring of War, great, giving a +1 damage. And also, you also have a knockback effect whenever you hit an enemy. So this is really good with move attacks like the axe, because you can keep pushing enemies back over and over and they don't get a turn. The one downside to the War Ring is that it does upgrade all mini-bosses to their strongest form, but this can actually be beneficial because the strongest form of dragons are red dragons, and they're actually not that difficult to deal with in most cases, and we prefer dealing with them over blue dragons, which have the really weird freeze in like a cone shape. So this actually ends up being helpful in some cases. So Spooty going through 2-3 right here. The exit. There's a shop right here on the bottom right. So the shops they generally generate better items on parts 2 and 3 of a floor than part 1 of a zone. So usually we'll usually skip stuff that's on X1 of a zone and usually check for something that's like on X3 if it's fairly close. You don't want to do too much shopping. Nice throw kill right there. Deep blues, all you have to do is kill the king, and with a dagger, with 3 damage, we can just throw the dagger and end the fight instantly. Zone 3, we can talk about a little bit here. Zone 3, the zone generation is a lot like Zone 2 in that the exit is usually opposite of where the available paths are, but things tend to get a little bit more screwy with the zone generation in Zone 3. You can get very lost, and with all the different hazards that did get introduced, like ice, the coals, and different types of enemies like these Yetis that we call the Klappas, it's pretty scary. We do have a quartz armor to protect us for a few hits, so it won't be that bad. Gun! We found the gun! The funny gun. The blunderbuss is a very fun weapon to use, but we're definitely not going to be taking it during a marathon run of this.
Yeah, it does like a huge cone of damage, but it knocks you back whenever you fire it, so it's really awkward to use. Very fun.
It actually wouldn't in this case because you have what boots on.
True.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things with build awareness in this game because a lot of interactions between different items, it's easy to forget them. So the lead boots that he has right now protects him from spike traps and some other floor hazards, but it also protects you from any kind of knockback effect. So stuff like the blunderbuss or the rifle don't actually push you back anymore. Being able to navigate these ice patches without slipping on them using the lead boots really, really handy. Like, there are a lot of really good uses for just the equipment in this game. Like, there's some weapons that we don't like, but most of the other equipment in this game is generally very good.
Alright.
Also, nice push up there. So the phasing dagger not only pierces those special defenses, you can use it to push Fortissimo off the stage and onto the dirt.
Yeah, I forgot about that interaction.
Yeah, it's so good. Okay, so Zone 4, we'll talk a little bit more about how the zone generation. So, because this is the most execution-heavy zone, the entire zone is just one giant square with a bunch of rooms here and there. And you start in one corner, and the exit will always be in the opposite corner. So we know exactly where to go. And the question ends up being, how few rooms or what kind of rooms do we need to trudge through to get to said exit? Oh, that's bad. Telemonkeys are very scary, and whenever you hit a telemonkey, they will send you to anywhere else on the floor. And the scary part is that happens after you've pushed the monkey off, so it's technically the enemy's turn, which means you can get whacked instantly.
Yeah,
So
and I
thankfully
got sent to
too
the exit
beat
room,
up.
which is even scarier, because that's where the enemies are densest.
Well, thankfully he's got a lot of protection. We've got the quartz armor for a little bit of protection here. The lead boots do protect against the goo on the floor, which is definitely the most deadly hazard in the game. Because if you didn't have the protection, you'd be shrunk whenever you step on those, and you're not able to attack, and you take double damage before defense is factored in. So it's glad to just not have to worry about that. Just treat them as normal tiles. Also getting a lot of bombs at this bomb charm as well. Oh, that's some good defense. So Spooty deciding what to do right here. Looks like we're gonna actually just do this very safely and just kind of farm up enough gold to just buy the armor outright, because we could kill Freddy and rob him, but that comes with some consequences, and in case we want to shop in Zone 5, it's better to keep him alive for this run. So the heavy plate gives 2 full hearts of defense right here. You can never negate defense below half a heart, so half a heart it will be the minimum of everything, but at this point we can pretty much shrug off anything. That being said, with double tempo, you can take hits over and over really quickly, so it can get dicey.
Speaking of dicey, I just walked on a dice trap, which
yeah, you don't see
spawns
those very often.
a bunch of random enemies.
Yeah.
That could have been
And they
worse.
can be from any zone. It's funny because I didn't know this until recently, but you could actually spawn mini bosses on those, and I had a Dark Minotaur spawn from one of those one time during one of my runs. I'm like, what? So, dice trap's no good. So thankfully we're almost out of this 4-3. Gonna take his pixie heals. If you hit a pixie, it explodes and does a bunch of damage, but if you just let them tap you, you get healed for a heart. Pretty nice.
Never the food shop.
Never the food shop. So there's 2 types of secret shops from the tier 3 walls there. Quick earth kill, by the way. Just smush coral rift right against there. But yeah, there's 3 types of secret shops in the tier 3 walls. There's the food shop, which we wanted, and then there's the pawnbroker, which is what we saw at the very end, which we would use to sell our items, but we don't want that. Ooh, boots of pain.
I'm gonna stick with the lead boots here.
Yeah, that's fine. Just for the sake of having health.
Yeah, boots of pain cost a heart and a half to pick up, so.
Yeah, very, very handy item, especially with a dagger weapon like this, but I can understand not wanting to take it. Yeah, handy thing about the phasing dagger as well is these skeletons, skulls, they normally spawn 3 skeletons when you hit them, but the phasing dagger just gets rid of all of them instantly, which is a nice little handy feature. So thankfully we have a compass already, so we know exactly where the exit rooms are, thanks to the big old arrow on the corner of the screen when it's not in view. Okay, so we're coming up on the story bosses for Cadence after 5-3 right here, and the first boss is going to be Dead Ringer. He's going to have 4 bells normally. You would have to hit all these bells and have Dead Ringer hit a gong to kill him. We might go for a fast strat with the earth, but it is a little risky with how to set it up. So we're going to see what Spooty does, and then after that we'll have
Phasing Dagger.
Oh, that's right, you have Phasing Dagger. Phasing Dagger goes right through his defense too. We can just go and smack him. Nice fight. Alright, so this comes up to the Necrodancer fight where we actually need to control Cadence and Cadence's father Dorian at the same time. So all the controls are shared here. Normally we would have to do these puzzles, but we're going to actually just
Dorian can
use
dig.
palm.
I was checking. I wasn't sure if he could dig because he doesn't technically have a shovel, but
Well,
earth
now you
walls
know.
are tier 0 walls, so. I was kind of trying to keep him out of trouble there, but...
Yeah. So we're going to use this loot instead by skipping the puzzles and just using our bombs. So the loot attacks by actually doing like a cone of effect whenever you move. So we have to keep moving in order to use the loot, and we want to try and lure Necrodancer in very specific ways. Thankfully that went just fine. So now we get double tempo Melody. So Melody is Cadence's mother, and the only weapon she can use is the loot. And the story reason is that she has to keep playing the loot to stay alive, otherwise she dies. So
and yeah, the important things to note here are she's only got the 2 hearts, which 2 hearts in the first zone, a lot of enemies will kill you in one shot. So the early game is very dangerous.
Yeah, pretty much all the mini bosses are incredibly deadly until we can get some protection of some kind, because although we're not going to have access to other weapons, that does free up the pool in black chests to have more likely give out armor and other useful things for defense. So it looks like we're going to do a little bit of farming for gold just in case we need to buy something from a shop.
I'm just going to buy the quartz now. I probably want better armor in the long run, but...
Yeah, quartz is fine. Yeah, even if you can survive only 1 hit, that's still better
important
than
thing to really important thing about Melody, especially with double time, is that the loot only attacks by moving. If you can't move, if you're in a situation where you just can't move, you're likely just gonna get beaten to death very slowly.
Yeah, if you get stuck around a bunch of enemies, you are trapped, and you don't have something like a bomb to free yourself, the run is over. There's not gonna be any way to save yourself.
Okay, well, at least we know the food shops later.
Well, we do have a bomb somewhere. So there's that locked shop up there. The shop has that cracked wall and doesn't have a normal door. So that with the way the game generates the levels, we know that there's at least a bomb somewhere. So we got 3 bombs, so it looks like we're gonna go check out both the shop and this blood shop at the same time.
The shove shield's very strong, but I'm very bad at using it.
It is such an awkward item to use, especially on Melody of all things. Heart Transplant's going to make this safe, so whenever you use the Heart Transplant, that gives you 20 seconds of free movement. You don't have to move the beat, you just take the turns whenever you want. So that made the robbing Freddy out of the blood shop very safe, since you could just do it on your own turn instead of doing it at double tempo. So we've got some heavy glass armor for a little bit of protection here, which is pretty nice. So heavy glass will soak 3 hits before it breaks. Which is really, really handy to just be able to soak 3 hits, since Melody wouldn't survive more than 3 hits at base health anyways. And then if we need to swap off, we can swap off to different armor. We've also got some grenades on deck in the item slot there. They are very powerful. They get lobbed ahead 3 spaces whenever you use them. And they do 6 damage, so they are incredibly damaging, but it's also very easy to throw them in your face by accident if you're by a wall. So
but thankfully I have Bomb Charm, so that doesn't make that a concern.
Ah, yes. So the Bomb Charm upgrades all your bombs, grenades, and normal bombs to where they, instead of a 3x3 effect, they have a 5x5 effect, and they are purple, so you are completely protected from them, which is really, really handy. Gonna buy the drumstick, get the health right now. Just go ahead and top off on health. And it looks like we're gonna go ahead and buy the chainmail now since we have access to it. So this is really nice, because chainmail gives plus 1 heart of defense. And this means we actually do not need to check for armor on the 1-4 boss chest coming up.
I might still check for it anyway, honestly, after I took that dragon fireball.
Okay. Alright, well we got Conga, so we've got bombs, so this will be a pretty easy fight to manage. Or we can just do it the normal way, just kill the Conga lines. This is the intended way of dealing with them. And that's the fun thing about Necrodancer, is that there are many, many different ways to handle bosses, depending on what your build is. Alright, so plate armor is pretty typical out of 1-4, just because, like I said, Melody doesn't have any new weapons to pull from, so you usually find armor and such.
Yeah, the advantage of being a weapon-locked character is the item pool is very small, because the majority of the unique items in the game are weapons. So when you're not allowed to use other weapons, the items you find become a lot more predictable.
Yeah, so plate armor giving a heart and a half of protection, so we're pretty safe from anything that's not a mini boss. Unfortunately, don't have Lucky Charm yet, so bats are a little scary. And the thing about bats is that they are the only enemy in the game that move randomly. And we do not have an item that prevents them from hitting us like Lucky Charm or Luck Ring. We did pick up a Shovel of Courage, which, while nerfed from Amplified... Oh, this is a guaranteed food shop now.
I have Bomb Charm, which makes it awkward. I probably should have held off on picking up that. That makes it even more awkward.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the 2 items real quick that we have. So the Shovel of Courage is it only digs tier 1 walls, but it whenever you... It's like the Ring of Courage, where whenever you dig into a wall, you are completely protected for that beat, and you also don't have to, you move directly into the wall too. So it's a big time saver, and it can provide a lot of safety as long as you have tier 1 walls to work with. The Blast Helm, on the other hand, just blows a lot of stuff up really quickly, because instead of your bombs having a fuse, it now just detonates them instantly. And the Bomb Charm also, or the Blast Helm, also protects you from all explosions, no matter yours or an enemy's. So it's widely considered between Spooty and others that the Blast Helm is the best headgear in the game. It's just so versatile. On top of it, just giving 3 bombs on first pickup as well. And so you have a panic button in case you need it, because whenever you use the Blast Helm, you get an extra beat of invincibility, so it's just a lot of safety. So we're gonna try and get this Gluttony Charm. Very nice.
Yeah, not many options. With the Blast Helm, it kind of affects how the food shopkeeper retaliates. It makes it really hard to, because he retaliates by dropping bombs when you kill him. And with normal fuses on the bombs, it's easy enough to bait them into beneficial positions for yourself, but the Blast Helm kind of messes it up.
Yeah, so we picked up that Gluttony Charm from the food shop. We'll see if it comes into play later. The Gluttony Charm, if we were to overeat using food, any excess hearts would actually be turned into heart containers, so it would basically give us more max health to work with. But we've already got 7 hearts, so it may not come into play here.
What about the Monkey's Paw? What does that do?
Oh, the Monkey's Paw. So that is a new item introduced in the Amplified DLC. That actually just freezes all monkeys. They just don't move at all. They take no effect. Which is weird, because apparently in Zone 5, water balls and gorgons are considered monkeys as well. They are just completely frozen. They are more frozen than Conga. So you heard it here. Water is more monkey than King Conga.
So true.
Nice, easy cool rift fight right there, using some bombs. Still looking for some magic. We have a ring for protection, but we don't have any useful spells.
I really want a torch, is the main thing I want. Like, not having torch for the Courage Shovel is really awkward. Okay, well,
Yeah,
there's a little one.
Yeah, because the torch not only gives the extra vision, it also allows you to see past walls, even if you normally wouldn't be able to. So just having even just a base torch is one of the more useful things you can get in the game. We do have this Conjurer too that allows you to conjure items in exchange for gold. So we're gonna get enough gold to get a ring. It's Charisma.
Okay, well that means I can get enough money for another one.
Yeah, so the Ring of Charisma cuts down prices from shops by 50%. So basically we can try and buy another ring for another 160 gold once we farm up enough.
That's exactly.
Or 140.
Ah, regen.
Ah, regen. Yes. Very, very useful ring. This allows you to regen 1 heart per floor. It's just handy. Like, you want some sorts of healing, especially with a category this difficult. Oh, there's a Nazar Charm. So this acts kind of like the Monkey Charm, kind of like the Monkey's Paw. There will be no more ghosts for the entire rest of the run. They just disappear. And like double time ghosts are probably among the most annoying enemies to deal with. That's a lot of Yetis up there. Zone 3 being Zone 3. Alright, this is how I wish I could play chess. Yeah, nuclear chess.
This just gives me glass field. I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Scroll of Need right there has several different effects depending on what your build is, but it acts on like a priority system, and since we've already filled out a whole bunch of things, it would basically just turn his entire build into glass items, which is not what we want on Melody, like, ever. So, very much not wanted.
Yeah, glass items are usually, like, the best items in the game, but they break if damaged. But for Melody, who is locked to the golden loot, a lot of the glass items don't even really do anything for her.
Yeah, I think the only other beneficial effect of the scroll and need at that point would have been to get a potion if you're at half a heart, but we didn't have a way to force ourselves down to half a heart, and we don't want to try and use an enemy at this tempo to do that, so it's better to just skip it altogether. That is a lot of Blade Masters. I just see nothing but orange with the armadillos and the Blade Masters everywhere. Alright, thankfully the lead boots are giving us nice protection to just sneak around all of this view here. It's really awkward to get around. Let me talk about blood magic real quick. You might have seen for just a second that Spooty was actually able to use his heal spell on the stairs. So we have a mechanic in this game called blood magic, where if you use a spell without killing enough enemies for a cooldown, you will still cast the spell, but you use up some health to do so. But whenever you get on the stairs, you are instantly protected from damage from any kind of source. And so we can actually use the heal spell right on the stairs as the level's fading out, and get the benefits of a heal without losing any health. So it's just a nice handy source of regen. Alright, so we're coming up on the boss for Melody soon for story. We're going to have another fight against the Necrodancer. It's going to be pretty similar to the last one, where we're just going to bash him a bunch of times with the loot. But this is a little tricky because this fight is actually time-based, where the room's going to get smaller and smaller as time goes on. So if Spooty doesn't finish that, this will collapse on him and he will instantly die. So shouldn't be a problem. Should be able to get this pretty quick, especially since we have the lead boots, so the wind mages will not do anything. So now all we have to do is just push Spooty right into the lava here. So a little bit awkward.
Spooty into the lava? No.
Spooty will push.
Okay, it's Arya time. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up and focus here.
Yeah, so Arya is by far the most difficult of the 4 characters here. So Arya is locked to the dagger, and you can notice at the top right there, she is on half heart. That cannot be increased in any way. There's no like magic food or any kind of heart containers to boost that. Like, you are stuck at half a heart. The one safety thing we have is this potion, and we can still get glass armor and such to give us a little bit of protection. But pretty much if Arya takes a hit, then we're gonna burn that potion right there. Also, if we drop a beat at all, then we also take damage. So Arya is by far the most difficult character, and having her at the end of the story really hurts for a lot of people. It's very difficult to finish her run because of that reason. So
Just
Arya
does the
also,
zones backwards.
yeah, she also does the zones backwards due to story reasons. We start in Zone 5, we're going to basically climb out of the crypt, because we want to get rid of the loot, like, permanently. So we're going to destroy it by sending it to the beacon of the crypt. So, but Arya is locked to the dagger for story reasons. We can't even get special daggers. It's going to be the base dagger the entire time. But we still can get some useful stuff like Strength Charm and other strength boosters. So we won't be locked to 1 damage the entire time. We just need to find the items. But definitely because this is the most difficult character by far in the mode, Spooty's going to do whatever he can to find some safety. So we're going to be checking shops here and there. A pickaxe is also great because we don't want to drop a beat, so we can't just let go. So a pickaxe lets us dig against most walls, so we can buffer beats against them as needed. And glass shrines are nice though. We're gonna go ahead and take bomb the glass shrine for glass armor and get 1 hit of protection for now. Good luring the water ball right there.
Forgot about the explorer boots.
Yeah, the explorer boots allow you to move through the water, but if you forget that you have them, then you won't get trapped when you think you will, and you'll be 1 beat off, and you ended up walking right into a skeleton because of that. So this arcing electricity is also really good for getting rid of enemies in Zone 5. So whenever you're on the wire, you're basically charged, and whenever you hit an enemy, an electric charge goes through that enemy and into whatever enemies are adjacent to it. So really, really handy. It's just a good form of crowd control. Gonna go ahead and buy the shield spell. Not quite as useful on Arya, since it's really hard to plan this out ahead of time. But we can use this to just kind of throw ourselves into enemies. And the Frost Ring kind of works as a damage dealer for now, because whenever an enemy's hit, they get frozen for a second, and whenever you hit a frozen enemy, they instantly die. So we can actually do that for a quick kill on Death Metal right here. We're just gonna get Death Metal over here, hit him twice, and fight's instantly over. So we're gonna check black. Unfortunately not getting armor like we probably would have wanted, but this is a strength booster, so now we've got 2 damage. Now, one saving grace of playing Arya is that she inherently gets less enemies than other characters, so you will see some emptier rooms here and there, so things are at least going to be a little bit easier in this Zone 4 compared to most other Zone 4s. And we do have a Luck Charm active, so bats will never attack us with a Luck Charm active unless it is the only move they can make. Nice of the dragon just kind of come over on his own. Nice of the Blade Master to just step on a spike trap. Yeah, enemies get affected by traps as well. So it's funny to just see them just whiff right onto a spike trap and it's like, bye-bye. I'm gonna check this arena real quick. I'm gonna go and take the Karate Gi for another +1 damage. The Karate Gi doubles your base damage of your weapon, and since the dagger only does 1 damage, so we can get the +1 damage out of that. Which does bring us to our 3.
Ooh,
oh!
Slipped and drop beats. Okay. This late in the run, I'm just gonna say we're not gonna. We unfortunately aren't gonna be clearing a story mode legit. We will just be finishing off with a single. Oh, I gotta go turn off story mode. We will just play Arya standalone. Let's turn off story mode in.
Yeah, so like I said, this is a roguelike, and everything's like randomized, procedurally generated, and so we're gonna have a new generation of dungeons right here. So that's the fun part about playing this game, is that you get a different experience every time, even if there's a bunch of rules. The way these rules can interact can always make for some interesting changes. So we're gonna have another Arya run just so we can get the full experience right here. So we do need to build up our build again.
And yeah, that's you know, a good showcase of just how much on the razor's edge Arya runs are, especially in double time. All it took was me just losing focus for a little bit and falling off beat for like 1 second. And I just missed 2 beats in a row and died.
Yeah, like, keep in mind, Spooty has been playing this game for like, what, a decade now? And you can easily get rattled no matter how good you are at this game. It's just how it is. This game is incredibly hard. Incredibly fun, but incredibly difficult. Especially when you have a category like this. Oh, the Karate Gi came back to you. So we're already at that +3 3 damage threshold that we wanted to hit, thanks to the Karate Gi and the Shield of Strength, which we like to jokingly call the Glass Strength Charm. So shields are pretty cool. They can block a hit if you get hit in the direction that you're facing. But since this also gives +1 damage, we don't really want to lose the shield if we don't have to. So we're going to take very great care to make sure we just keep the damage.
I don't like this.
Start. This is nasty. Well, at least the Ring of Shielding will protect for a little bit. Like, if we get hit, then the Ring of Shielding will cast a Greater Shield spell after protecting us for 1 hit. That does not protect against a missed beat, though. So we are going to be looking for another potion somewhere. So 1 potion can be generated somewhere in the dungeon per siege, and we can also possibly get another using something like Scroll of Need. So it's interesting to fight the mini-bosses on Arya, because we have, like, Conga 1's health, but the characteristics of Zone 5, so it gets a little awkward sometimes. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and... We're actually gonna keep the Karate Gi, it looks like. So we're gonna keep our 3 damage.
Yeah, I was hoping for a heavy glass there, but regular glass is kind of marginal benefit.
Yeah, it would only protect against 1 hit, and the 3 points of damage overall is more useful. Darn that. Yeah, we're gonna try and avoid that case since we don't have a luck booster at this point. So we're really gonna try our best.
Trying to lure him over to the crack wall.
No. Yeah, the Goblin Sentries are able to open... I think they can definitely open up to Tier 2. I think they can open Tier 3 walls, right?
Tier 2 something.
Okay, well, that would have been enough to open that secret shop if we check it, but it's looking a little dicey. We don't have a bomb. We can get this dragon to do it for us. And it is glass. We'll go ahead and get our luck booster right here using the Leprechaun. Grab the glass shovel and the glass flipper. So the glass items, they break when you take damage, but we already die if we take damage anyway, so it's just a good benefit to just go ahead and grab them now. Yeah, the Luck Shrine is really nice if you have a luck boosting item like Luck Charm or Luck Ring. That you would normally have a 50-50 chance to get an item from the Shrine of Chance, but with a luck boosting item, you always get it. And we did get a Blast Helm out of it, so some other good items like Throwing Charm, which is really, really fun to play with.
For Wooden Shield, really?
It's really just a downgraded shield. Yeah, the Wooden Shield just protects from one hit and then does nothing. The stronger shields are kind of neat, in that if a shield is still active on you, but is damaged, then it'll regen like 1 health, which is pretty cool. But we're rocking the Shield of Strength that only has 1 health, basically. Yeah, nothing else really useful that we want out of these shops here. Oh, there's a potion right there. So now we've got our hit of safety back, thankfully. So it's going to be a little bit relieved. It is still Zone 4 though, so things can always happen. Just trying to peek whatever's in this shop. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Monkey's Paw. You won't see a whole lot of monkeys at this point in the run, but monkeys are pretty nasty in that whenever they touch you, that is a drop key, which is bad for Arya. So it's good to just have that safe and we don't have to worry about monkeys for the rest of the run. We did unfortunately lose the potion, so the only other backup we're going to be able to get at this point is if a scrolling need shows up. Nice use of the throw charm right there. So the throw charm's a really fun weapon. So we can already throw the dagger. That's an inherent property of it. But with the throw charm, the dagger actually loops back to us in kind of a boomerang effect, which is really, really fun to play around with. So you get one of those boomerang effects, and then you can throw the dagger again, but you have to recover it on your own. Reflect Shield, fun to play with, but we still need the damage from our Shield of Strength, so we're not going to take that. So the hard part about doing this reverse zone order is that now we're going to start seeing Zone 4 and 5 enemies in Zone 3 and beyond. So now we're going to get Blade Masters in awkward spots, and we're going to get Zone 3 enemies in the next zone. It's going to be a little weird, and it can be a lot to deal with how enemies interact. Thankfully, we do have some good mapping thanks to the compass and a Torch of Foresight on hand, so we're going to be able to just find the exits pretty quickly. So we're going to try and spend only a little bit of time on everything. Pulse spell also really great. Pulse fires in an X shape, doing 5 damage. Really, really handy. A little difficult to use at first, but very, very solid spell once you know how to control it. And unfortunately on Arya, spells they're still very useful, but since we can't get a blood damage effect out of them because we don't have health to pull from, it's a little more awkward to use them. Awkward Blade Masters, very nicely handled there. Gonna check this chest on the way out. It is a damage booster. But we've already got enough damage, so it's only if we want to give up the Blast Helm. It looks like we will give up the Blast Helm.
Yeah, it gets me to 5 damage, which kills most mini-bosses.
Yeah, so 3 damage is our normal damage threshold. 5 is another secondary damage threshold, which is pretty nice, because 5 damage does allow you to kill several mini-bosses in one hit, which is pretty handy. There's our...
And now we go to 4 damage.
Yep. So now we've swapped out for 3 hits of protection. 4 damage is still plenty to work with, so this is fine. So the spiked ears give a static +2 damage. They would only break if we drop beat, but we die if we drop beat anyway, so it's basically just +2 for the rest of the run. And thankfully we do have several bombs still on deck in case things get a little dicey. Very nicely handled. Alright, let's see what our last mini-boss is going to be coming up. So last mini-boss is going to be Deep Blues right here, so we have some strats for this. You can go to the third row, throw the dagger, and Deep Blues will teleport instantly into your row. You can just fireball him, so very fast fight that way. So thankfully we do have a lot of safety going into as we navigate Zone 1 right here. So I'll go ahead and talk about the final boss of Arya right here. But Arya is going to have to fight the Golden Loot itself. And normally you would have to hit the loot and then use a bunch of bounce traps to reposition your parity, because you can't just drop parity on your own. There's no walls to work with, and you can't just drop a beat on your own or you'll die. But we have a nice quick kill that if we do a very specific set of movements, and we can avoid having to use these bounce traps. And if things go wrong, thankfully Spooty does have a lot of safety on hand. We have the glass armor, we have a shield scroll, we have ring of shielding, so we should be able to just poke ourselves into the loot fight coming up soon and just force our way. Well, there goes the ring of shielding, but that's okay. You have to watch out for enemies that involve us dropping beat, like the moles. We still can't afford to drop beats here. Shovel of Strength for a quick +1 damage, because why not? Also allows for big digging, which is very fun and very handy sometimes. Here, Dragon's trampling through here. We're just gonna clear them out, make sure the exit room's clear before we try and jump into the exit here. Spooty's doing great. Like, handling double tempo characters is incredibly difficult, and he's done a phenomenal job. So here's the loot fight right here. So we're just gonna pop that shield. We actually ended up losing the ears, but that doesn't matter, thankfully. And time is now.
Whew, okay. Oh yeah, stop the timer. Okay. Shame about the Arya death. I was hoping to get the legit story mode clear, but yeah, double time Aryas are up.
Hey, you still got number 2 on the board for double time Arya.
So yeah, the spiked ears making a little quick explanation there. Because Zelo just finished explaining that they only break when you miss a beat and you die if you missed a beat. But if you prevent damage through an effect like the shield spell blocking something, or a shield taking a hit, or glass armor breaking, you actually have 2 beats worth of iframes. So it just so happened that I had just taken a hit when I fumbled and dropped the beat. So I had that invincibility and survived the fight. Thankfully not choking right at the end.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, look at that. Came in underestimate with 5 minutes to spare with a pretty late Arya death.
Great, congratulations. We do have a donation that came in from a Hockey Babbler for $5 saying, "Thanks for showing that even you are mortal, Spooty. Good luck on the rest of the run. Great job on the couch, Zello. And let's go, gamers. Incentive to Tunic Cape goodness."
Thanks, Babs. Yeah, she was my host for SGDQ, so big shout outs to her. She's great.
And yeah, thanks again to everyone who donated to get the double time incentive. Yeah, definitely caused some turbulence for sure, but that's what I was aiming for. Wanted to make it a little more exciting. Hope you guys all enjoyed the run. Yeah, thanks again to Zelo here for jumping in and on commentary pretty last minute. I really appreciate it, man.
I'm glad I could always help. You're one of my best friends still, so gotta kick in where I can. So where can people find you if they want to see more of this action?
I mean, I'm at twitch.tv/spootybiscuit. There's also a general Necrodancer community server where we have a lot of helpful people who want to try and help everyone make progress and enjoy this game as best they can. It's a tough as nails game, one of the hardest ones to come out in recent memory, but it can be incredibly satisfying once you get the hang of it. So
yeah, you can be addicts like us and have several thousand hours in this game before.
Yeah, I'm at like 6,000 hours or something like that.
This game's really great. I really do highly recommend this, because not only for the recent Synchrony DLC, which adds stuff like co-op play and such, but just the game engine was updated during the development of that, and even if you play just the base game, it's a lot more stable than it used to be, and it's just a fantastic experience.
Yeah, if I've got a minute, I'd actually like the Synchrony DLC actually came out like this past year, when the game's like 10 years old, and it made a huge update to its modding API. There's so many crazy things you can do to the game now. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just show off the extent to like what you can do now. There's a first-person mod.
I remember you were playing Coda with this. That was an experience.
You can play in a first-person perspective, it's pretty difficult. But yeah, the mods are like since Synchrony came out, the mods are exploding, and there's there's pretty much a mod for however you want to play the game. So it's exciting news, and I think a lot of people kind of Necrodancer's been off their radar since it's like a 10-year-old game, but the potential for the game with the new Synchrony patch and modding API is incredible. Shoutouts to the Synchrony team and Vortex Buffer and all the devs there, Maruq and Greemy. Synchrony actually started off as just a fan-made project to try and make an online multiplayer work, and it grew into an official patch, which has really breathed new life into this game. And just want to give shout-outs to the devs at both Brace Yourself Games and Vortex Buffer for all the work they do. I think that's all I got, though. I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Marathon's got some catching up to do on the schedule, so stick around. We still got plenty more runs for you on the last day of Slurpathon, and I'm sure it'll be a great time. So thanks again for having us, and I'll go ahead and let you guys get on with it.
See y'all around.
Thanks so much. Stay tuned. We're going to go on a quick break to set up for our next run of Pokemon Puzzle League.